Okay, this is passage 1. I was sitting on the fender of Steve's car, smoking and drinking a Pepsi, while he and Two-Bit were inside, talking to some girls, when a car drove up and 3 socias got out. I just sat there and looked at them and took another swallow of Pepsi. I wasn't scared. It was the oddest feeling in the world. I didn't feel anything. Scared, mad, or anything. Just zero. You're the guy that killed Bob Sheldon, one of them said. And he was a friend of ours. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially greasers. Big deal. I busted the end off my bottle and held on to the neck and tossed away my cigarette. You get back into your car or you'll get split. They looked kind of surprised, and one of them backed up. I mean it. I hopped off the car. I've had about all I can take from you guys. I started toward them, holding the bottle, the way Tim Shepard holds a switch. Out and away from myself in a loose but firm hold. I guess they knew I meant business, because they got into their car and drove off. You really would have used that bottle, wouldn't you? Two-Bit had been watching from the store doorway. Steve and me were backing you, but I guess we didn't need to. You'd have really cut them up, huh? I guess so, I said with a sigh. I didn't see what Two-Bit was sweating about. Anyone else could have done the same thing, and Two-Bit wouldn't have thought about it twice. Ponyboy, listen, don't get tough. You're not like the rest of us. And don't try to be. What was the matter with Two-Bit? I knew as well as he did that if you got tough, you didn't get hurt. Get smart and nothing can touch you. What in the world are you doing? Two-Bit's voice broke into my thoughts. I looked up at him, picking up the glass. He stared at me for a second, then grinned. You little son of a gun, he said in a relieved voice. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just went on picking up the glass from the bottle end and put it in the trash can. I didn't want anyone to get a flat tire. Okay, the questions. Number 42. When Two-Bit says, Ponyboy, listen, don't get tough. You're not like the rest of us, and don't try to be. Which word can best describe his tone? Rude, concerned, annoyed, or angry? Number 43. I knew as well as he did that if you got tough, you didn't get hurt. Get smart, and nothing can touch you. This thought that Ponyboy has is a reference to something Derry told him, something Soda Pop told him, something Dally told him, something Johnny told him. Think about, if you can't remember, think about who it sounds like that would say that. Number 44. You little son of a gun, he said in a relieved voice. Why is Two-Bit relieved when he says this? He is angry that Ponyboy is picking up the glass. He is happy that Ponyboy hasn't really changed. He is sad that Ponyboy has changed. He is glad that Pony got the socias to leave. Number 45. What type of conflict is being represented in these lines? You're the guy that killed Bob Sheldon, one of them said, and he was a friend of ours. We don't like nobody killing our friends, especially greasers. Big deal. I busted the end off my bottle and held on to the neck and tossed away my cigarette. You get back into your car or you'll get split. Ponyboy's internal conflict. An external conflict, person versus nature. An external conflict, person versus person. Socia's internal conflict. Number 46. What literary term is represented in the line, Two-Bit's voice broke into my thoughts? A metaphor? A personification? An alliteration? Or a simile? Okay, passage 2. Nobody could write editorials praising Dally. 2 friends of mine had died that night. One a hero, the other a hoodlum. But I remembered Dally pulling Johnny through the window of the burning church. Dally giving us his gun, although it could mean jail for him. Dally risking his life for us, trying to keep Johnny out of trouble. And now he was a dead juvenile delinquent, and there wouldn't be any editorials in his favor. Dally didn't die a hero. He died violent and young and desperate, just like we'd all knew he'd die someday. Just like Tim Shepard and Curly Shepard and the Brumley boys, and the other guys we knew would die someday. But Johnny was right. He died gallant. Tell Daly. It was too late to tell Daly. Would he have listened? I doubted it. Suddenly, it wasn't only a personal thing to me. I doubted it. I could picture hundreds and hundreds of boys living on the wrong side of cities. Boys with black eyes who jumped at their own shadows. Hundreds of boys who maybe watched sunsets and looked at stars and ached for something better. I could see boys going down under streetlights because they were mean and tough and hated the world. And it was too late to tell them that there was still good in it and that they couldn't believe if you did. It was too vast a problem to be just a personal thing. There should be some help. Someone should tell their side of the story. And maybe people would understand then and wouldn't be so quick to judge a boy by the amount of hair oil he wore. It was important to me. I sat down and picked up my pen and thought for a minute. Remembering a handsome dark boy with a reckless grin and a hot temper. A tough, tow-headed boy with a cigarette in his mouth and a bitter grin on his hard face. Remembering, and this time, it didn't hurt. A quiet, defeated-looking 16-year-old whose hair needed cutting badly and who had black eyes with a frightened expression to them. And I decided I could tell people, beginning with my English teacher. And I finally began like this. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. 47. The line, "There should be some help, someone should tell their side of the story," represents what literary term? A flashback, a foreshadowing, a theme, or irony? Number 48. The line, remembering a handsome dark boy with a reckless grin and a hot temper. A tough, tow-headed boy with a cigarette in his mouth and a bitter grin on his hard face. Remembering, and this time it didn't hurt. A quiet, defeated-looking 16-year-old whose hair needed cutting badly and who had black eyes with a frightened expression to them. Based on the descriptions of the boys that he gives, who is Ponyboy referring to here? Derry, Daly, and Johnny? Soda Pop, Steve and Johnny? Derry, Soda Pop, and Ponyboy? Bob, Daly, and Johnny? What can you infer about Ponyboy from the line, remembering, and this time it didn't hurt? Ponyboy is recovered from the deaths of his friends and happy with his life now. Ponyboy has gotten hard and no longer cares about his greaser friends. Ponyboy feels better about his situation because he has found a way to cope with the pain. He will cope by telling his story. Ponyboy is lying in this line and he is hurting still. Okay, on the next recording, I will read passage 3.